Okay, we are ready, Tina.
All right, we were going to call this meeting to order. We need a motion to approve the agenda.
I make the motion to approve the agenda as presented. This is Bing.
Brittany, second.
We have a motion and a second. Tina,
Yes.
Doug Meyer,
Yes.
Doug Alexander,
Yes.
Bing,
Yes.
Brittany,
Yes.
Nancy.
Yes.
Okay. We need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved, Doug M.
This is Bing,
Nancy,
second.
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Tina,
Yes.
Doug Meyer,
Yes.
Doug Alexander. Hang on. Okay, now are you there?
Yep, Doug Alexander, yes.
Bing,
Yes.
Brittany,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Doug Meyer, did I get you?
Yes.
Okay. Monthly information items, the expenditure report. Any questions on that? Or the revenue report? Okay, no questions. Assessment and evaluation of district programs. Budget summary. Kathy?
Oh, hold on. There we go.
I was waiting. Okay.
Sorry.
Your property taxes remain the same as last month. When we hit this point of the year, everything that comes in from the county is recorded in delinquent. So the delinquent taxes are up by 16% over the year, which is 184,000. So we're looking good there. And current property taxes exceed budget by 7% as well. So both categories are doing well. The state formula is meeting budget projections for the month and year to date. Prop C also meets budget. Again, that's our sales tax. It runs about 2 months behind. So hopefully we can get through the year and hit our budget. Classroom Trust Fund, which is the gambling dollars, is approximately 5% short of year-to-date projections, which we were warned of from the state. So casinos are closed. Overall, Fund 1 revenues exceed budget by approximately 5%, and Fund 2 revenues are within 1% of meeting budget for the period. Expenditures are still running pretty normal. We're probably going to see some savings since we did close down as far as expenditures for supplies and those types of things. The ended projected fund balance percentage is 33.6%, and cash and investments are 12.7 million.
Very good.
Kathy, do we anticipate any savings from, like you mentioned, the schools being closed, so like electrical bills gone down? We went through and turned down the thermostats, things like that.
Potentially we should, yes.
Okay. We have no idea what that'll
Not at this
possibly be.
point. Those utility bills run about a month behind arrears, as you know, from your monthly. So I will take a look for that for next month, though, so I can report on that.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Any other questions for Kathy? All right, thanks, Kathy.
Uh-huh.
The at-risk review.
Is Jason on here? Oh, there he is.
Yes.
Sorry, I can't find you on the screen.
Nothing really much to add with the at-risk. All of our buildings, administrators and teachers do a great job working with our at-risk students. It's an ever-changing population with ever-changing risks that are placed. So it's kind of chasing a target sometimes, a moving target, but we have quite a few things in place to try to meet those needs. And our teachers are focused on that, not only through the at-risk program, but also through the curriculum that Christy Meeks works with and all of our buildings with the BIST program, different behavioral supports. So just overall, I think we do a pretty good job trying to meet the needs of each of our individual students.
Anybody have any questions for Jason?
I was just going to say it was a very detailed look at the different buildings and what they all do, and that was very informative.
Building
Thank you.
principals provided that to me, so give them the credit for giving me all the information.
Have we
It was
seen any
good.
more success in reaching the students that we weren't able to reach? I know that was an issue we talked about last month. Parents not responding to emails, you know.
I can't really speak to that in regards with this. I don't have any information on that. I believe most of our families were met just through some conversations we've had with administrators. But yeah, I mean, after this event and being closed, summer break and starting next year, I think all administrators, teachers, everybody in education has concerns with how students are going to come back. Gaps are going to be widened everywhere, academically, emotionally, and all kinds of risk factors coming in. So next year is going to be trying to try to make sure we provide the best opportunity for our students to learn each day.
Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you, Jason. Moving on just to the strategic planning process, Paul.
Thank you, ma'am. So we've been with our strategic plan in place. We've been trying to start the process of, and then school's out, and we've transitioned out of virtual learning for the time being. We are trying to examine what our reopening plan is going to look like for the fall primarily, and so we're getting a task force together. It's going to have parents and teachers and of course administrators, counselors, just to address all the needs that we can think of and what we don't think of and those things. What we have to do is plan for the worst and hope for the best, and I think everybody's in that same boat. I spend each Friday morning on 2 different Zoom calls with superintendents around the Kansas City area. There's a lot of ideas floating out there, including a lot of blended plans of what that might look like. I started to get a lot of letters from parents about next fall, mostly indicating, hey, we want to go back to school. And I think that's how a majority of people feel. And that is what we're going to plan for. But we also have to plan for contingencies. And, when we went into virtual education, we had a week to plan for it. And so now we've got a little more time. We can provide some professional development to our staff on what that might look like if it's a blended environment. So we are going to plan for the worst, but hope for the best. And I think that's what everybody wants is a full return to school. Some of the ideas that are being floated out there right now, Kansas City Public School has talked about even using a trimester system where they go year-round school and break it up into trimesters so that they can come in and clean, using some of the CDC guidelines and some other resources that are out there about cleaning and social distancing. So there's a lot of parameters that are opened up. Even the State Board of Education has said that they can move off of that date and we could start school earlier. Personally, I don't think that's a good idea, but that's a conversation we can have with that task force as we start that process. So our strategic planning looks a little different now as we focus on safety of staff and students, and then of course varied instructional models, what that's going to look like, alternative methods of instruction. So those are some primary things we have to address. Kathy talked about the budget. That also has to be included. We have to talk about being fiscally responsible, and we have to continue to, again, plan for the worst and hope for the best. And what that includes is, possible reductions and different scenarios. One of the things that I would like the board to do is plan a post-election work session, if we can get our calendars together, and use that primarily for budget planning. So after the June 2nd election, we will know, we'll have a lot better idea of what our revenue stream looks like going forward, and how we prioritize those things. So we need something in June before the final budget is presented in June in June for the June 30th deadline. So along those same lines, I talked to our extra duty staff last week. Brent Maxwell and I did. We talked about some different ideas that have been floated by varying school districts throughout the area, in terms of what does it look like if we don't have those activities next year. If we start school, then we stop school, then we start school, then we stop school, and those are real possibilities. And so we discussed what's that look like from an extra duty pay standpoint, because right now we pay over 12 months. That 12-month payroll starts in September, at the end of September. So for fall activities, we're actually paying in arrears. And so, that's probably one of those conversations that needs to take place. I think the coaches and sponsors did a good job of providing feedback on some different options. Obviously, it's hard for them. We're talking about families and significant hits to their income, and what does that look like? So, what can we do to be fair and all those things? So, those are the conversations that we're having going forth that are encompassed in that strategic planning process. So I'm looking forward to the task force and suggestions that are made there. Obviously, we need to have that framework that we can rely on, because we're going to have to make local decisions that impact our school district in Harrisonville. What Harrisonville School District looks like is not the same as what Independence School District looks like. We're not the same as what Adrian looks like. So we have to, within our community, determine what our school district is going to look like going forward in this environment. So, and we've developed a document with those with the concepts that we're discussing for that task force. And as we do that, I'll continue to share that information with you. So that's what I have.
I'd just like to say thanks again to Jill. And correct me if I'm wrong, the recent pieces that you've had coming out that have really personalized the, I and N propositions have been phenomenal. I think they've been hard hitting and they're getting the point across. And I think that that's what we need to do. So I'm looking forward to both of those passing June the 2nd. And thank you again for all your efforts.
I mean, when you and I talked earlier today, Paul, it's just putting the plan together for what next year is going to look like. You're planning for something that you don't know is going to happen. So it's a huge and overwhelming undertaking to do that, and you're affecting the lives of the staff, and you're affecting the education of the kids and the mental well-being of the kids, and that they have opportunities that are before them that you're affecting the opportunities that they have. And none of these are decisions that you can take lightly. And it's just all, I like what you're saying, plan for the worst and hope for the best. You have to plan for the worst, and God willing and the creek don't rise, that's not what happens.
Right. Absolutely.
When does the task force meet?
So I'm going to send out invitations tomorrow. I'm still waiting from a couple buildings just on what staff members they want to include. We're trying to be a little bit deliberate in making sure we encompass all representative staff groups, and then we're covering all areas too. So food service, transportation, social emotional needs of staff and students, and obviously teaching staff. And so we're trying to cover all our bases and make sure that we consider all needs when we present our issues and plan for moving forward. So when I get those last few people, I'll send those invitations out, and we'll start. We've already started on the document about things that we've started discussing in the cabinet and the district admin team level. So we'll just be able to add to it from there. And most likely we'll have to break down into committees. Right now, looking at instruction from one standpoint and safety from the other. There may be more. I know Republic, for example, in Southwest Missouri, their task force is divided up into 6 committees. So that might be a little bit too much. They're a little bit bigger than we are, but we just have to make sure that everybody has a seat at the table. So that's what we're trying to make sure.
All right. Any other questions or comments for Paul? Okay. Ed Council Guide Services. We need a motion.
So moved. Doug M.
Brittany, second.
I have a couple of questions about these. I know we've read through them all and dissected them and changed them and all of that, which I'm glad they changed them according to what we suggested. My concern is that I'm having a hard time finding some of the policies that we currently have that I can't find them mentioned in the new policies. And I just want to, how do we know that all of our current policies are somehow melded into the new ones?
So the next step, Nancy, is to include those in handbooks. So some of the things, and that's one of the reasons we wanted to go with Ed Council, but was because they took out the things that really aren't statutorily required and put that into a handbook. The next phase is you go through the handbooks. And so all our administrators have those right now and are working through those to make sure that they are customized to what we do in our district right now. So that's where the specifics meet.
Yeah, I'm not talking about procedures. I'm really talking about policies that we have used in the past that have been very specific, and we have had to use them in certain instances, and I'm not finding them now in the new policies, and that's what concerns me. And I'm just going to say the policy yes, the one I couldn't find, well, one of the ones was concerning staff-student relations, and it was policy GBH. And I can't find anything in the new policies that address that specifically. There's a lot of policies about how you terminate an employee and.
So typically, like when we talk about policies with student-staff relations,
federal guidelines for.
A lot of times that's policy AC, and so again, they'll take probably what MSBA would put in 3 policies and put it into one. But I mean, I'll be glad to ask Dwayne that too. So.
Well, I just want to make sure that it's not too vague. I mean, I like condensing, but I don't want to leave out something that we've used in the past, the very recent past, because we had to refer to it specifically.
Right.
And this is an
And there were
amendable
also,
document, correct? We can
Yes.
add, subtract anytime that we want. So, you know, to
Right.
Nancy's point, if she find one that we're missing, we can always say, put it back in.
Correct. That's correct, man.
Okay.
right. I just don't know how to, other than going through each section of policies that are we have currently, and they're broken up, you know, into different sections like employment, students, instruction, all that different thing. I mean, there's even a policy for student dress code in our current policy, which is pretty vague, which is good, but there's not one in the new policy.
That
Now,
would be a
do we
handbook.
need to have that?
Handbook.
That would be a handbook item, not a policy thing.
Even though it's policy now,
Hmm.
we don't want it to be a policy. I mean, how can we, I guess my question is, how do we put teeth into our actions if it's not a policy?
Paul, employee student relations is addressed in the employee handbook. The one that we have, it's E185E.
So Nancy,
It's
the
addressed in the
handbooks,
handbook.
right? So again, those things are just sitting in a different spot is where they're at. So, but I mean, we can go through those, and I can have Dwayne come and explain those to us when we have our work session too. So.
That'd probably be a good idea, because I want to understand it totally. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I know some of the things are procedural, and I get that, but some of them are also policy, but not necessarily a law. And I think we can still have policy that's not law-driven, that applies to our district.
Right, but you can still, if once it's approved by the board, it's enforceable by the board. So those handbooks then would be enforceable
Okay.
because those are approved too. So.
All right.
I agree with Nancy. I'd like to have Dwayne or whoever from Ed Council come and be part of our deal, just to, you know, maybe show us how the new system works, how we find different policies, where they're listed, where they move to, because I know they used a different coding system, and it could be simpler in the I think it was a 6-digit code system they give us, so maybe that'll help. But you know, a refresher wouldn't hurt.
Absolutely.
Right. I have no problem in adopting the ones that we have now. I just want to, like Bing said, be able to add to them if we so desire.
And it's our policy. So whenever you want to add, that's up to the board. So
How does the board enforce the handbook, Paul?
through administration. I mean, you think of it, when you think of a school system, it's essentially like your executive, legislative, and judicial branches of the government, right? So the board is essentially the legislative body, and the administration is executive. So we're responsible for carrying out those policies and procedures that are created by the Board of Education. So.
Okay. Okay. So I would agree, it'd probably good to get Dwayne to come out to go over some of these things, because
Jason's got his hand up.
who's got his hand up?
Jason? There you
Jason does. Mr. Eggers, yes, sir.
I think it'd be great to have Dwayne come look at those as compliance. You know, the more I learn about that, the better. Also, but on the Ed Council website, it goes into detail, kind of describing district policies, the board operating manual, the administrative procedures manual, and what their concept is of how they're putting it together. So I think it would be good. I mean, just read that on the Ed Council Law website, and you can kind of see that.
Okay.
There's 5 components.
So for tonight, if we're all in agreement, of getting Dwayne out to maybe the board retreat in June, so we can kind of go over that and maybe discuss some things that we might want to put into policy, maybe later on down the road, sooner rather than later down the road. But for tonight, let's approve what we've got out here. Is everybody in agreement with that?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, I think we're ready, Susan.
All right, Nancy,
Yes.
Brittany,
Yes.
Bing,
Yes.
Doug A,
Yes.
Doug M,
Yes.
Tina.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we need a motion for the addition of the HOSA chapter at CCC.
This is Nancy. I move we add the HOSA chapter at CCC.
This is Bing. I'll second that.
You've got the proposal from Jeanette there. I think she did a good job of outlining how that would work and creating that separate group that actually fits more in line with those different groups. So she's here if you have any questions for her too, I think. So.
Since we've got Jeanette, is she willing to maybe give us a quick overview of the program? I know is Skills USA, Jeanette, going to go away? Is that what I'm gathering?
No.
No, just on that one position, if you read that, I believe.
Okay.
It'd take
Hang
the
on,
skill,
Jeanette, I'm hitting unmute, but it's not doing anything.
it'd take our skills positions
go.
or programs down to 6, I believe.
Right.
Yes.
That's right. Doug.
So our skills position has always been a challenge in our building because it is a lot for any 1 or 2 people to handle. So we are hiring a new math person. They're going to be in charge of skills. Reducing the number of programs they are responsible for will help them tremendously. But most importantly, it's really about getting our health science students involved. All of our programs are required by DESE to have a CTSO. And so we put health sciences in with skills because at the time that was the best we could do for them. But a lot has changed since then. And so now we've got so much more we can offer our students, plus with adding the additional EMT program that didn't exist on its own in the beginning. It's so much more beneficial for my 2 health science teachers. It's more beneficial for my skills teacher, and it's much more beneficial for the students involved.
And the coaches on that are going to do it free for the first year with no stipend, or
Yes.
was that what we agreed?
We won't have a co-advisor for HOSA. That's just going to be run by David May. And then Angie will have responsibilities, but he's going to be the lead advisor for that. And with the 2 programs, I think that's manageable. For skills, Officer Kelly has volunteered to forego the stipend to help HOSA get up and running because everybody in my building understands the need to make this happen. And so she's willing to do that for as long as she needs to help make this happen for us.
And we've got a perfect example of why she's Teacher of the Year then. Thank you.
Exactly.
And I had mentioned earlier, Jeanette, I'm so sad that Greta is leaving us. What a loss to the district for us and for the CCC, and we wish her all the best. And I know it was a hard decision for her to do, but what big shoes somebody's got to fill. I wouldn't want to be the one to do
Yes, and one of her recommendations was to make skills more manageable. And that's one of the things I'm trying to do by adding HOSA.
Well, do you think she will remain on like our advisory boards and things like that
I have
that you
talked
have for the CCC?
I have talked with her about being a resource for skills because she has been the primary skills advisor for years.
Right.
And we're going to need some help there. And so she has agreed to coming on with skills, but I think that's the only way she wants to remain to be involved.
Yeah, really, we probably shouldn't be talking about personnel in an open session, so.
No.
Yeah. Any other comments for Jeanette? All right, I think we're ready, Susan.
Nancy,
Yes.
Brittany,
Yes.
Bing,
Yes.
Doug Alexander,
Yes.
Doug Meyer,
Yes.
Tina.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we need a motion for the MCAC MOU.
Doug, I'll make the recommendation to approve the memorandum of understanding with Missouri College Advising Corps as presented.
This is Bing. I'll second that.
This is just an MOU. We have this currently in place with Samantha Cates, and she's actually been hired now as one of our counselors. So they have offered to provide the same service to us. It's a no-cost service, and it's been very beneficial for our district. So.
I guess I was just having a question about, have we ever been approached by any other colleges to do this sort of thing for our district?
I'm not aware of any that do this, that provide this service.
It's just MU.
I think so.
I guess when I read through the contract, there was one thing that I was surprised by, or maybe a little concerned by, where as part of their agreement, they are provided with names of seniors from previous 3 years before the contract goes into effect. And I didn't really understand why would they want that? The previous 3 years seniors.
I think that's just in reference, Nancy, to probably if people come and ask for transcripts or they can help along those lines. I could be wrong. Jason, you might speak to that a little bit more. You've worked with Sam.
Yeah, I have a hard time speaking exactly to that. A lot of it's for follow-up data. So part of their work with this, they're also doing kind of research where kids are going to school, what they're doing post-secondary. So I'm assuming that's what some of that information is about. They're treated completely as an employee, and they're provided at no cost. They've done it's been an amazing program. I mean, I can't speak highly enough for it. MU is the only one I'm aware of. They approached us 3 years ago for the first time on that. And because of our location in the Kansas City area, because of our free and reduced count, we qualified that we would be a school that they would be willing to place somebody in. So it's in my opinion, a very, very good program.
I agree with that. It's been very beneficial.
That is great. They can continue their good work.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All right, Susan.
Nancy,
Yes.
Brittany,
Yes.
Bing,
Yes.
Doug Alexander,
Yes.
Doug Meyer,
Yes.
Jeanette, or I'm sorry, Tina.
Yes. All right, we need a motion for the reduction in extracurricular programs.
Doug A., I'll make the recommended action to eliminate C-team sports, girls swimming, beginning with the 2020-21 school year.
Doug Meyer, second.
So this is an area of conversation. I've Coach Maxwell's on here too. We've had a lot of conversations back and forth. I shared with you that information that we used to come up with those numbers and those type of things. As we start looking at fiscal responsibility, I really want to applaud Coach Maxwell and the amount of effort he's put into this, and I think he came forward and said we need to look at all possibilities. That's a difficult thing to do, and I think he's put together a good presentation. So I think it's just about fiscal responsibility and with the difficulties that we're facing. It's a difficult time to say that because we don't know what the election results are going to do either. But I know we have to make plans from a scheduling standpoint too, and it's kind of difficult. I put it off a month just so we could have some more feedback, possibly from other stakeholders in our community, and just haven't received a whole lot. Have received some letters, but not a whole lot, and so with the goal of getting to that $1 million, and so that we're not deficit spending, and we can concentrate on being more competitive in salaries in other areas. This is one area where that particular department can make reductions, and so we could piecemeal it out, or go with the general recommendation. But anyway, I wanted some input and some thought from the board on this. So
Personally, I'd like to see it tabled, and if I need to make that motion to table this until our June meeting, I would like to make that motion. To echo your point, Paul, we don't need the headline in the newspaper next week to read board cuts programs right before we're asking the district to approve a levy for us. I don't think that's the right message to send at this time.
Well, I totally disagree. This has nothing to do with the teachers' salaries or the upkeep of the district. It's a program. It's not, neither one of those issues address programs.
But that's not what the public is going to perceive, Nancy.
Well, we have to move forward as a district today. We cannot wait for how the election turns out or other issues. We have to safeguard the finances we have, and you're talking about not a huge cut in activities. I'm not even sure how many years the C team has been in existence, but I think it's not that many years. It's a fairly new addition to my mind. And I could be wrong, but I don't remember there being C, maybe there were, but I think we need to take care of it and grab the bull by the horns and start addressing what we have to address.
The two things that I think of. Oh, go ahead. The two things that I think of in Paul's presentations that he gives about the two issues on the ballot is, regardless of what happens with the outcome of the I and the N issues, we're going to have to continue, whether they pass or they don't pass. Even if they pass, we're going to have to continue to look towards the future and to make adjustments, because we still have to look at the financial stability of the district. That's not going to be the end all save all for everything. So I think that's the one thing we have to keep in mind, is that's, to Nancy's point, we've got to continue to move forward today even. The second thing is, I don't think this is taking opportunities away from kids. This is going to just move them up into JV programs. So if this was taking opportunities away from kids, I would be a little bit more hesitant. But the fact that it's not, it's just combining them and making a program that's already in existence a little bit bigger. They're still having an opportunity.
Tina, I would point out that the one that is girls swim, so that would be
Okay,
elimination
okay.
of that program.
However,
I see Coach Maxwell on with us. How many kids does this affect in those C programs in the girls swimming? I think he's muted, Susan.
Brent's muted.
There we go. Is that better?
Yep.
Girls swimming has been varsity only. We average anywhere from, well, I say average, we've had anywhere from 10 to 14 girls over the past 4 to 5 years, pretty consistently.
And in the other C teams?
Baseball, you're looking at probably 10 to 15. Basketball, boys and girls, well, boys probably 6 to 10. Girls is maybe 1 or 2. We haven't had hardly enough girls to field a C team anyway. They've been having to play up to JV. Football, you're looking at 20 to 25 maybe.
Brent,
So in total,
if I'm-
you're looking at maybe 40 to 50 kids.
Brent, Doug Alexander here. Also a question related to C-team sports and activities. Is that a activity, the C-team, what are the other schools in our conference doing? And also, do those games quite often get canceled due to other schools or, somebody else canceling out an event? Because you're going to cut C-team before you're going to, if they don't have enough kids to make.
Correct. Football's been a big issue recently. Nobody's necessarily looking to cut the entire thing, but football is struggling to field a C-team schedule. We usually have to go find non-conference opponents. Volleyball has not been an issue. We tend to have plenty, all of our conference school. Well, I say that there may be one, but for the most part, they're all able to field a full C team. Baseball has been fine. Girls basketball, again, struggles just like we do. Boys basketball, a majority of them are okay.
So have we gotten much feedback from parents concerning the girls swimming team?
I have not had any personally.
No, I've had some comments from the coach herself, but other than that, I haven't had any from parents.
And the cost savings that we're talking about to do this is what, around 22,000 is all the cost savings that we're going to have if we decide to do this?
Approximately in that area. That would be stipends. That would be the stipends. It would be officials, and approximate transportation costs.
And I want to put it to my fellow board members, as we were talking earlier, we're going to have huge savings, I think, in our electrical bill as well as our water bill from being shut down 2 months in the schools. I just don't see that this is an issue that we need to tackle at this time, and I think we'll have adequate savings to cover those costs going forward.
The thing is, the savings on the utilities will only be for this year. The decision that we would be making tonight is carrying us over beyond this year. And I don't know, I mean, I don't know what the utilities, I don't know that would be 22,000 a year. I have no idea though.
We spend, I believe, and Kathy can help me with this, it's probably $40,000 or $50,000 goes to the city every month for electricity. It's outrageous.
That's true, Bing, but as Tina mentioned, that'll be this year's savings. And we're talking about funding these for the coming year, which you're right, it will be in our fund balance. But then again, we're going back and hitting that fund balance that we're trying to build up to take care of the district in the long term.
And then that goes back to my original point with the levies and stuff. When those things pass, that will help our fund balance. So for the 22,000 that we're looking to cut, I don't think it's insignificant for the benefit that we give to the students to be able to participate in these sports.
Tina, Doug Alexander, are we going to look at this as line item for discussion on girls swim team, and then we go to 7th, 8th B sports and C team sports, or is it a package deal?
The way it's presented, it's a package deal. I think we'd have to amend.
Yeah, we have a motion on the floor for what's on board docs. Eliminate C team sports and girls swimming, beginning with the 2020-2021 school year.
So if there was something that we wanted to alter in any way, we would have to amend the motion.
For clarification, if you vote yes for this motion, then you are eliminating these programs.
Correct.
Okay, is there any other discussion on it? Okay, I think we're ready to vote.
Nancy,
Yes.
Brittany,
Yes.
Bing,
No.
Doug Alexander,
I'm going to say no as presented.
Doug Meyer,
Yes.
Tina.
Yes.
That's 4-2, the motion passes.
Contract with Unite Private Network. We need a motion.
Doug M., so moved.
Nancy,
This is Bing. I'll
second.
second. Oh, give it to Nancy.
All right. Paul, have you got anything on this?
Oh, this is the E-rate proposals. So this is just the E-rate funding that's approved. It's a federal funding process. I know that Kathy and Mike worked very hard on this. So if you have questions, because Kathy was part of that process, you might want to ask Kathy on that too. Kathy, you're unmuted if you want to say anything.
Oh, okay, sorry.
That's
No, I
okay.
was.
I hadn't put you on mute yet.
Oh, okay. Yes, our contract previously was 15 years, and we are going to go ahead with another 15-year contract. Unite Private Networks has done an excellent job. If there's ever a break in our fiber, they help us in trying to rectify that. They'll come out and find it. They've just been really good to work with. And I don't know if you read through what I had written, but the other two vendors who bid on this only bid the lit fiber and not the dark fiber. So we needed both. We've got the lit is what's currently active. The dark is what we would go to if there was a break or we needed to get more capacity. So that's why Unite came in as being the low in respect to that, because the other two bidders only bid lit. So Mike went through it with a fine tooth comb, and he understands all that. I'm not quite so savvy on all of that, but he feels like it's a good choice to go back with Unite. So we did write another 15-year contract in order to keep our service constant.
Anybody have any questions for Kathy? All right.
We ready to vote?
I think we are.
Nancy,
Yes.
Brittany, Bing,
Yes.
Doug Alexander,
Yes.
Doug Meyer,
Yes.
Tina,
Yes. All right, last but not least, we need a motion to adjourn.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Nancy,
Yes.
Brittany,
Yes.
Bing,
Yes.
Doug Alexander,
Yes.
Doug Meyer,
Yes.
Tina.
Yes.
Thank you all.
All right, have a good rest of your night, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.